Aloha from Mexico in Playa del Carmen. It is time to align, to redefine, to realign with the divine. Aloha, everyone. I am super excited because today I'm going to be joined here with my good friend Vandana once again. She is in St. Pete, Florida, where we are going to be doing a mind lab, and it's going to be a 2-day event, and I'm super excited to share it with you all. And I'm going to bring her onto this. Meow.
Woo!
Vandana, we did it. We did it.
How's it going?
It's good.
I'm getting into this.
Good at this.
Yeah. How are you? Where are you right now?
I'm in Playa del Carmen, near Cancun in Mexico, and it is a beautiful sunny day in paradise.
Fantastic.
Yeah. Where are you at
Yeah.
right now?
I'm on my balcony in St. Pete, and we can't wait to have you here with us.
Oh, me too.
St. Pete.
Me too. Yeah, it was great. I talked to Catalina, the co-founder of the Girl Project, and she called me last night. I was at a cool party here in on the beach, and she called me up, and we were just so excited, and yeah, and then I actually met somebody from St. last night.
No.
Yeah,
How?
it was like total synchronicity, like instant brotherhood connection, and yeah, it was just so cool to be in a random place around the world and be like, oh wait, you're from this place? I'm going there next week and hosting an event. He's like, dude, I'm there. And then I share. It's funny because when you're on the dance floor, it's like sometimes it's hard to have like a deep conversation, but somebody will say something that's like kind of a breadcrumb to a potential conversation, and I'm like, well, la da 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 da, and then he's like, oh my god, I wrote a book about that. He wrote a book about the meaning of life and all this stuff, and I was like, no way, that's so cool, and so we just had this amazing conversation, and yeah, unlocking those next level synchronicities on the dance floor, place to do it.
I love that. I have to have more experience of that dance floor synchronicity. You'll have to introduce me to that, you know.
Absolutely.
But yeah, so for the few people who have tuned in, and I know some of my students and friends are tuning in, this is Jonathan, and he's going to be joining us in St. Petersburg, not this weekend, but next weekend.
Yep.
Does that make sense? November 10th and 11th on 11/11.
11/11.
Cool.
Good
Right?
day to get aligned.
Yeah. And we'll be doing his Mind Lab weekend, and I've already had people express interest, so I'm really excited about it. I'm excited to attend and just feel in line with other people and kind of write down. We talked about this on Tuesday, writing down, what our intentional living in life looks like, and then applying some of your techniques and meditation uh, to make that happen. But today we're going to talk about being in the flow and how to stay there.
Awesome. Yeah,
Excited to
I love what you
hear and
said, just like talking about intention and meditation and like having that balance between the two, and I feel like that's a really good starting point. Is like, you know, being in the flow. Like, if you want to get back into the flow, if you want to unlock synchronicities, if you want your life to feel like it's effortless and things are just happening so super easy and like everything happens at the right time with the right people, it's like if you want to get there, you have to start with the intention of like, you know what? From this moment forward, I'm setting the intention to be in the flow, and I feel like that's a good thing that we can do even right now in this moment, even in this live, like just setting an intention from right now, from this very moment forward in this video and beyond. We are creating a ripple effect that is allowing for that cosmic, effortless creation to emerge through each and every single one of us in the greatest potential, for the greatest good, for the greatest alignment for ourselves and for the world. And just setting that intention, saying that out loud. And sometimes it's so easy for the mind and for the ego to get locked into what's going wrong, and it's like, hey, how are you doing? It's like, I'm all right, like, oh, it's like it's like, how often are you like, oh my God, everything is, perfect. And, it's just like, it's almost like
I
a faux pas to be like, to talk, about how good things are, and it's, I don't know. But at the same time, with my community,
I love that, John. I love that
yeah,
because people do seem to bond over negativity, and we need to get rid of that habit of just like, oh, let's focus on what's wrong and focusing on the good vibes and what is actually happening that we can be grateful for and blessed. We're so blessed. I think you probably know it by traveling around the world. I know it from my travels to India and other places. So we are so blessed to be alive in this human body, to be doing what we want to be doing. We need to focus on that and sharing that vibe with one another instead of focusing on the negative. But sorry, I kind of interrupted, but
thank you for that. Yeah, absolutely. This is a co-creation here, and it's like we got the masculine and the feminine energy just like
yeah,
minds and sharing reflections on life. And yeah, it's beautiful. So thank you. And yeah, just like going back into this idea of getting into the flow and staying there, right? I mean, every one
yeah,
of us have had those moments where we're in flow state, and a lot of times people find flow when they're doing art. I find it when I'm surfing. Some people find it in like relationships. People find it in love making. When
mm,
you are in that cosmic state of oneness and awe and wonder and deep connection and deep presence with everything that it is that you're doing. And in positive psychology, flow is known as the zone, and it's a mental state of operation in which a person performing an activity is fully immersed in a feeling of energized focus, full involvement in the process and in the activity. So it's that kind of extra sensual experience where all of your senses are being activated at once. And there's these five neurochemicals that are emitted when we're in the flow, and they're like benzodiazepine, and like you get the natural sedatives, and then you get these like boosts of serotonin and dopamine, and sometimes even DMT that's produced in the pineal gland. And so it's like our body is has our own natural pharmacy that's waiting to be activated. But we get so locked into the past sometimes that we're just firing and wiring neural connections of our old self that's keeping us bound into a past state of being, a past state rather than a flow state, right? So how can
yeah.
you make that leap from a past state of thinking and feeling to a flow state of thinking and feeling? And so that's an interesting, connection there, because there's the thinking, the thought, like I am in flow, like saying it and sensing it in a sense of like knowing it, like deeply affirming that, like I know that no matter what's happening in my life right now, everything's happening for a reason, and just deeply knowing that. But at the same time, there's that feeling component, right? That emotional. What's up, Catalina? um,
Hey, fellow
I wish we could
Fergie.
bring another person in here. That'd be awesome. They need to make
I know, right?
it on Facebook. So the thinking and then the feeling component of just that a deep sense of knowingness, right? A sense of feeling, like a gut feeling that yes, like this is happening for a reason. I am here, and I'm referring to any experience. It doesn't matter if it's good or if it's bad, right? Because
Right, right.
bad or just judgment,
Because when we start labeling ourselves,
right?
labeling what's happening and what, is occurring in our lives, and we start labeling it as good or bad, we start getting in trouble because then we're like resisting right away to something we think is bad when actually maybe it turns out to be good.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you said it, like labeling, like you nailed it, because that's one of the functions of the ego, is to identify, to, become identified with a certain state of, identity. And so basically when we're caught into that trap of saying like this is good, this is bad, we're not in the flow. When you're in the flow, you are just in it. You're one with what you're doing. You're one with that universal expression of creation. And so, in a sense, like right now, we are manifesting at the speed of light. Like all of the atoms in our body have positive and negative ionic charged particles of the energy, and we're filled with life right now. We're a living magnet, essentially. And so, when we come into a deep knowingness, like I think that one of the first things to just realize is that like when you come into a deep state of knowingness that everything is perfect, right? That's like the first step. Because if we're saying this is good, this is bad, we're just caught into that. But coming into that state of just like, yeah, okay, no matter what's coming at me, like this is okay, you know, and I'm just gonna go with it and work through it and navigate through it. So when you come into that state and you realize that like everything's perfect, then you can say, okay, well, what do I want to create more of? And that's when you go into these states of like following your bliss. If you've ever read the book or any of the books of Joseph Campbell, he's always talking about following bliss, you know, and that's like one of the first things that we need to do is like tune in and say, okay, like, yeah, I have a big to-do list today, but like, what is most exciting to me? What's most interesting to me today? What feels most aligned for me? And you look at that list and you kind of like feel into it. It's kind of like when you're drawing a tarot card from a deck and you like run your hand over the whole deck. You're like, which is the one? You're like, oh, this is it. You know, and you make that feeling, right? So it's like, okay, like, what is the task I'm going to do today? You draw it like a tarot card, you know, like, so, you know, that's an interesting tool that you can just play with, you know, and it's really all about exercising your intuition and listening to that internal guidance system, listening to what your body is telling you and listening to what your brain is telling you. Now, this is where it gets really interesting and weird because a lot of people are like, oh, you know, like my belly's telling me no, like don't do this thing. And like that's good. It's good to listen to that, but at the same time, there could be a lot of old past programs that are bound up inside of your belly of fear, right? That is holding us back into a past state rather than a flow state. So it's really good to have discernment over, you know, what is it that our body's telling us and why, and what is it that our heart is telling us, what is it that our mind is telling us, because each one of these, like they say that our heart has its own brain, right? The heart sends more information throughout the entire body than the brain does. Actually, it's pumping blood through our whole body and it's flushing out all the toxins and delivering all the neurochemicals that our body needs. And so that when we're in a coherent state and we're saying, okay, like you're about to make a decision, you take a deep breath, you tune into the experience and you say, okay, what feels most aligned for me in this moment? You tune in. If you're tuned more into the gut and you feel a lot of fear, it may be that you're making a decision based on a fear state. So you want to take a breath, bring yourself back into your heart space. If you're thinking about it too much, you might be just like, oh, I don't know, like paralyzed and indecision, you know, and like you might want to bring yourself back into that breath, back into that heart state, right? So we have these different kind of like dualities, and then right in the center we have the central focal point. It's the heart, you know, and so like really tuning into that and making decisions based on that.
I like that. And I like also, I think when you're in the flow, there's also a sense of timelessness, right? Don't you feel that when you're feeling so, and I know that actually gets me into trouble sometimes. I'm a little in my, you know, not in my head, really more in my heart, because I'm following my bliss so much that sometimes I'm like, oh, I got to be here, and I'm not, you know, as aware. And that's what mindfulness comes in handy. But yeah, and so I love that, and you'll be sharing some of those techniques of getting, you know, between the head and the gut and focusing more, bringing us back into, because the title of your thing, Mind Lab, it almost sounds like it's all up here, but that's kind of a little bit misleading, right?
Yeah.
I mean, although we now know the mind isn't necessarily in the brain, right? That's scientists, you know, have proven that now.
Yeah.
But I love that you're explaining it more so that people can kind of get more of a grip on where you're coming from. And it's really exciting stuff.
Yeah, it's interesting, I'm glad that you said that, talking about how the mind is up here. And I always ask that, like, if you were to point to the mind in the body, where would you point? And people always say here, but this is actually the brain, right?
Yes.
And you know, it's like, but the interesting thing about the mind is that the mind extends throughout our entire body and also beyond our body, you know, because you can put your conscious awareness, outside of the room. You can take your consciousness outside of the room. The conscious mind or conscious non-local in a sense that like mind is not right here. Mind is infinite, and there's different levels of mind from different factors. There's all different levels of consciousness, and we can get into those states of oneness consciousness and unity consciousness. And a lot of times when people are in flow states, they go into gamma brainwave. When you're in gamma, you're in a high state of presence and awareness. And one way to get there that you can just try right now is like tune into unity consciousness, tune into oneness consciousness. And when you kind of do that, your brain waves actually increase. I think it's like 40 beats per minute or something like that. No, but it's like you're increasing. The brain is just using the whole brain gets activated rather than when you're in beta brain waves, you're like stressing and your neural pathways are firing and wiring very specific patterns, and you kind of like burn yourself out, right? And so when we go into into gamma brain waves, the whole brain turns on. And you can see this when you put a brain map on your head, and I've actually been able to experience it and see my brain working live, and that's pretty fascinating. But one thing that's interesting is to realize that the mind actually extends into the body, in the sense that our subconscious mind is the mind in the body. So, like for instance, when you get hungry, and you might identify as being hangry, right? It's like all of a sudden, it's like, hi, I'm hungry. Like if you introduce yourself, it's like, this is who I am. Like I am depressed. I am excited. We get these feelings in the body, and then we become the feeling, right? And so this is actually subconscious in a sense that most people are not trained. And this is the next level of human evolution, is that the awakening of consciousness is also the awakening of our awareness of our emotions, and how our emotions have been running the show for so many years, and we're taking control of those emotions, and now we're becoming the master of the body, the master of the mind, the master of emotion, no longer allowing those emotions to run the show anymore, and using those emotions to guide us, but rather we're using
So freeing. That's very freeing.
elevate us.
You're no longer like a prisoner to your emotions. I mean, I know that I struggled with that for years and years and years. I did not understand that. Nobody ever explained it to me.
Yeah.
Okay, plug my phone in. So just having that awareness now and knowing, we don't know what we don't know.
We don't know.
So
we don't know.
are capable of knowing what we don't know, and until someone comes along and you make that connection, and then you start learning all of that. But I think that that's a totally freeing thing. In fact, it's one of the things that first attracted me to yoga, was having one of my yoga teachers, it was Jivamukti class, and she said, your natural state is bliss. And of course, my ego was going, well, no, it's not, because I'm depressed. And, and I was all these labels with, how I felt. And then I thought, but, well, wait a minute. Well, what is this? Because that was an introduction to something I didn't know, that yoga was saying, our natural state is bliss. And our, and so hence, my interest in yoga, and that's been going on for some time.
Very cool. Yeah, I totally resonate with that. Our natural state is bliss. I mean, from the very moment that we're conceived, we came from a blissed out orgasm, from our mother and father. One of the most blissful states that you can experience in life is making love. And, that's where we come from. That is the big bang of our reality, like, and it's a fact, and the fact that we're able to, make that journey from the infinite realms into this three-dimensional reality, and thrown screaming into this world naked and like separate. And it's just like, whoa, like that is a cosmic experience. And I was looking at this baby the other day, and her mom was holding her, and she was just like, oh my God, like
what is this?
Heck is going on? And like the emotions that were bubbling up in this baby was like, whoa, it was like, oh my God, like this baby is just like brand new and experiencing emotion, and this like mind-blowing, you know. And so it's so interesting, but like, you know, I think it's awesome because as we start to get into our body, we become into our identity. When we start to transcend just our ego and our ego identity, we start to realize that we are one with everything. And then when we get there, that's when we start to unlock the next level of synchronicity, in a sense that we realize, oh my God, I'm actually co-creating my reality with a divine source of creativity. And our creative arts, whether it be art itself, whether it be making a video, whether it be dancing, whether it be business, whether it be, you know, like if you're a day trader, it doesn't matter. Like that is your creative expression. You're creating algorithms for the future. You're prophesizing what's going to be emerging into the future, and you're tuning in to that source of divine creation, and then you're channeling that through your actions. And so what's interesting is that one thing that blocks us from doing that level of creativity is our mind and our fear and our doubt, our worry, and pretty much the stuck emotion from past experiences and traumas, and you know, anything that's happened in the past that's holding you back. And until that gets dealt with, those things will keep coming back, and that's that karmic loop of samsara. You know, that you're just on that loop, and until we like truly stop and deal with that, that's when things change. And you know, it's so fascinating. The other day, I was landing in Cancun, and I was meditating, and I had received a message from somebody who I had said something that offended them, and I was like really tuned into like what was it that I said that offended them, and like how, you know, and I was really like reflecting, because I don't want to affect people negatively, you know, but sometimes I'm a mirror and I just say things that, you know, are coming out, and I just can't help it. You know, it's like, do I want to tell you what you want to hear, or am I going to tell you what, you know, you need to hear?
Yeah.
I mean, who am I to decide what you need to hear or not? But that's what came out of me. So um, I received this, and as I was landing in Cancun, I was just reflecting, and I actually was like, I wanted to feel the emotion. I didn't want that to come back again, in a sense of like, I've had to, you know, like there's been experiences in my life when I've spoke before, didn't think, and then just spoke, things came out, and then I ended up, you know, needing to apologize. And so I went into this meditation. As I was landing, I just went so deep into meditation, and it's like I sat myself down and I looked myself in the eyes and I said, Jonathan, this is a moment when you need to change. This is a moment when you need to transform. This is a powerful moment right now. And it was like I just sat my ego down and had a talk with it. And in that moment, when I landed, I put in my SIM card, and I got a message from my old gymnastics coach from when I was a kid. And it was an apology letter that I wrote to him in 1999. And it was pretty much the exact same apology that I had said to this person. And I was like, oh my God. And it was a
Oh,
handwritten letter. And then next to it was another letter of really powerful quotes that I wrote when I was a kid and gave to my coach. And I was like, whoa, like this is a cosmic synchronicity right here. This is like out of this world. And
yeah.
when I landed, I didn't have a SIM card in my phone. The moment I got it in, I got the message. And so that's the interesting thing. Like when you start to play the game of like healing those deep wounds, transcending the negative thoughts and the old paradigm of whatever it is that you need to transcend from, you know, whether
Mhm.
it's healing from family trauma or relationship trauma or even past life trauma, things that you're holding on to, other people's emotions, other people's energy. Once we start to clear that out, we start to come deeper into flow. When we clear that out, we have more energy to create, right? Because when we're giving our energy, like our life force energy, to old negative, I call them energy vampires, right? A lot of people say other people are energy vampires, but I think that we giving those
Awesome.
people in our mind, like just the energy that we give them in our mind, those are energy vampires, but also the negative thinking, you know, those limiting beliefs. And we say, I'm not good enough. And we just believe that. And we just keep giving our energy to that. But the moment that we cut that karmic tie, the moment that we cut that cord, to that energy. We cut it off. Now we have new energy to create. We have new energy and new life to start to fire and wire new neural connections and new quantum connections with an emerging future potential, right? We spend more time just dream weaving and visualizing what it is that we want to create. And then all of a sudden there's a tipping point where now we're starting to get that momentum, right? And so now we have our creative energy is being channeled. We start to see signs and symbols everywhere where we go. You know, it's like we're communicating with nature. It's like you're speaking out loud in poetry, and all of a sudden the wind is blowing, and you know, it's like these magical synchronistic moments where it means something to you, and it's because you're present enough to witness it. And the universe and the earth is communicating to you through these experiences, and those experiences are happening all the time.
Yeah, and you're just not tuning in. If you're just not aware or awake, you're not tuning in, you miss it. But if you are awake and aware and applying all of this that we're talking about, then you are guided and you feel guided, right? I mean, you feel, but it's that co-creation. I love the co-creation element, not just that you are being guided and you're following something. You're not
Yeah,
at all. Yeah.
you are it. It
Yeah.
it is you. It is
Yeah.
experiencing. It is experiencing life as you, and it is expressing itself as you.
True. Yeah.
You are an expression of it,
Yeah.
and
Not the, yeah.
and it is fully expressing itself right now in this moment, in a sense of like a lot of times I know that I've in the past for myself, like I have felt like, oh, only if I had this, then I would feel good, right? Or oh, maybe once I get here, this new job, this new relationship, maybe once I get out of this relationship, once I, achieve this goal or have X amount of money, then I will feel insert the blank, right? What is that
Yeah.
experience?
Yeah.
What?
Crystal said art being in the here and now. And
Yeah,
so much is it so much is it's not about something that we're looking forward to. It's really about expressing and feeling gratitude for what we have right now.
yeah,
And then co-creating what we want to
yeah,
continue to have in life. Right? I mean, do you think that that's true?
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I feel like to really like if you are in a place where you're feeling like you are being blocked from that flow, I want to just like share a few ideas of things that you can do to start to activate that flow state. And
Oh,
the first thing that I always do before doing any project or getting into work or anything, the first thing I do is I move my body. And move my body, and that can be yoga with Vandana at her studio. It can be dancing in your living room. It can be singing. I love to combine singing, dancing, affirmations, powerful statements. I like literally just override everything that's happened up until this moment. I'm like, all right, let's go. I'm gonna shake this thing up, and I shake my body. I'm gonna show you guys a lot of really cool embodiment practices that we're gonna do throughout the weekend at the Mind Lab, because it's
we're
important.
gonna get down.
Oh yeah, we're gonna get wild. It's gonna be good. It's gonna be good. And so like just moving your body, you're shaking up those old neural pathways and programs that have caused us to feel a certain way and caused us to be in a certain position that whether it's a mental blockage or whatever it may be, we just shake it up. And then from there, then that's when we get to activate our creativity. And we were talking a moment ago about following your bliss, following your highest excitement, and really activating your creativity is so important to just like get into a creative state, whatever you need in order to feel creative. If you're working on your computer, like set up your sacred space, like create a space where you feel excited to create, where you feel excited to be in flow. Um, Also just like really starting to put yourself in more social situations. A lot of times people get into a funk and they kind of hermit themselves in the room, and they get locked into this mind space of not enoughness and like fear or whatever it is that holds us back from making the leap. But the moment that you put yourself in a social situation, in a sense of like saying yes, like I'm going to go to this event. Someone invites you to an event, says, "Hey, I really want you to come to this event. Won't you come?" And you're like, you hit like interested, but you don't say going on the event invite. Like, hit going.
The non-commitment.
Yeah, like hit going and then go. And when you put yourself in that environment, when you put yourself in that experience where you're, forced to like turn yourself on, you have to be on, you start to connect and you get out of your own head. And when you're out of your head, because here's the thing, like when we are creating our reality, we're always mending these mental models where it's like, oh, like this is a new idea, a new concept, and you start to build this mental model, and you're doing that in between alpha and theta brain waves. Because when you're in theta, you're kind of like half asleep, half awake. You're dreaming, you're imagining, you're having lucid dreams. And when you're in alpha, you're very present, you're conscious, you're saying, okay, interesting. You're not like super stressed out or in anxiety. You're connecting with someone, right? So you're in this social situation and you're having a conversation. What happens is you share an idea, and that mental model is put into your head, and then you reflect back an idea that kind of adds to that mental model, and you can just evolve. Literally, it's like writing a book just by having a conversation. It's like, whoa, and this and this and this, and you can build these new potentials. But there's those people who like to talk about people, and then there's those people that only like to talk about things, right? Like, oh, I have this and you have this too. Cool. Oh my God. Oh, you know this person? I know this person, but it's like, what about like possibility? What about opportunity? What about what lights you on fire? What is your passion? Like what really, like what is your purpose here on this planet? And so when you get to those conversations, that's where like I was on the dance floor last night with this guy, and the music's super loud, but we're like having a profound conversation, screaming over the music, and like, oh my God, like this is a new brother, and so it's just like it's amazing what can happen when we get out of our head and get
The
in.
new tribe member. It's a new good vibe tribe member.
Yeah.
Or good vibe member.
Well, and I love that, about you and I, as like it's so cool that we both have. You've got the Good Vibe Tribe,
Good vibe tribe.
and I created the High Vibe Tribe, the HI Hawaii Vibe Tribe in Hawaii. And,
Oh, nice.
and the fact that you and I both have created that, and that we both do, yoga, we both, work with, like we do community events. It's just like, wow, like this is one of my sisters. This is a synchronous.
Yeah.
This is someone that I need to connect with. And here we are. And we're just saying, you know what? We're leaning into that edge of social anxiety of saying, oh my gosh, I was out late last night on the dance floor, but I'm still going to wake up early. I've got my coffee, and I'm going to, like share my heart. And like, what a gift to be able to share this with you, Vandana.
Yeah, no, it is. And I was feeling the same way because I was out late last night too, seeing friends. One of the groups from that played at the yoga festival was playing live, and I wanted to support him. And I mean, he's amazing anyway. And so I'm out with friends, and pretty soon I'm on Facebook or doing whatever, and going back and forth with friends. And I get home and I'm like, it's 1 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
And I have to teach at 8:30 in the morning the next day at Palm Beach. Like, oh boy. But at the same time, when I got to the beach, I was like, I had these students and they were so grateful to be there, and I was grateful to be there. And it's like everything is, and this, what a gift this is to share this with others, and to be in this space because they're all, open, and just, yeah, it was great. And I thought, you know what, we have these ideas of how things are supposed to look, and then they're nothing like what we think they're going to look like. Like, I'm thinking, oh, I'm not going to be real great on the call today because I'm so tired. I was running here and there after, you know what I mean? But doesn't matter.
I know what you mean.
Like, I mean, it's less focused or something, but it's interesting how I was just thinking about this on the way because I was like literally grocery shopping before we got on the call, and I was like, everything has its moment though, and everything is in place. At least that's how I feel. And I know you feel it.
Absolutely. And just like pushing yourself into that experience, like saying, okay, like I'm gonna set this date. I'm gonna set a date at this time, and I'm gonna show up to it. And it's interesting because like
Yeah.
every time event, like this event that we're doing in Florida weekend, it's like every time I set that date, it like changes my entire reality in a sense that
Yeah.
okay, now I have to show up.
Yeah.
When I don't have any plans, when I don't have anything that I'm working toward, like a team or a mission or a vision or like some sort of purpose in my life, when I don't have that, like I'm just wallowing in uncertainty. I'm just sitting in this state of like, what am I doing with my life? But when I get that divine intuition that says, okay, do an event, go to Florida. Like I haven't been to Florida yet. I've been wanting to go so bad to be with the Everyday Hero Project team and like connect with this community that I've like been seeing online, but I haven't got a chance to. And it's like, okay, this is the time. Do it now. And I just did it. And like connecting with you is like a total godsend. Like just seeing the response from people. It's like yes, people want to do this. They want to go on this adventure. They
Oh,
want to
sure.
transform. And that's the thing is like I love to work and be surrounded by people who are on the journey to do the work and to transform and to heal. Like that's my vibe. It's like let's just evolve. Let's do it as quickly and effortlessly and joyfully and with as much fun as possible, preferably on the dance floor if we can. And and let's just grow together because like that's what this life is all about. And I truly believe that like the more that we put ourselves in these like experiences of like novelty and complexity, when we get ourselves out of our box, out of our house, out of the TV, out of the computer, and into the world and saying, okay, let's do something different, let's do something new, let's experience something new. It starts to open our mind to new potentials and we see the world through new eyes. And that's why I love to travel so much. When you travel,
Yeah.
you just
Oh, you're always seeing everything through new eyes, right? Because I love to travel too. And I that's something I want to talk to you about too, is just that, gosh, that freedom that must come. That Anna says that is what life is all about. I'm going to Florida in my world tour, and you can all these people. So am I. I love that we're growing. Like it's my friend Nemo's in India, and people in LA, people all over the place, and then we're connecting through social media and staying connected, and then inspiring and each other to go to different parts of the world. And I saw somebody was also interested in you going up to Canada. And I was like, oh yes. And then he's got to meet my friends Parvati and Rishi in Toronto, because they're on this whole mission with the Marine Arctic Peace Sanctuary, and
cool.
like so many so many passionate people out there that are working in their and inspiring others. But that's how I feel inspired as well, is just by meeting people like yourself and being, in each other's company, really, and kind of, but keeping each other accountable too. keep,
Beautiful.
keep
Absolutely.
friends,
I love
right?
what I love what Deanna just said here. We are the
What did she say?
message. We are living the message, and we are spreading
Yeah.
the message, connecting
Yes,
with workers.
absolutely.
Love that. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, and like that's another big component about being in the flow is rewriting your story, rewriting the message. Because a lot of times the messages that we're holding on to are like messages from other people, or other experiences that aren't serving us, and we're holding onto them. And the moment that we rewrite the story, that's when we have a new script. That's when we have a new vision, and we start to actually tune into the future of what it is that we want to be, tune into that quantum wave potential, and we collapse the wave of potential into three-dimensional reality by writing it down, by writing out the new story, by writing out the future. And that's the exact process that we're going to go through at the event on the 10th and the 11th on 11/11.
I
Perfect
know.
day, perfect day to get aligned, perfect day to
Yeah.
rewrite the story. And I want to tell you guys this from the bottom of my heart. Like I had to rewrite my story in such a profound way because of childhood abuse and like so much confusion and pain and depression and suffering, suicidal thoughts and attempts and like all of the darkness, the dark night of the soul. And I had to literally reprogram myself. And it took me 20 years And this whole event, this weekend retreat that we're doing next weekend, is not like, this isn't just like a hobby. This is literally my dharma. This is my purpose in life. This is my healing. This is my medicine, and it's like every time that I can share this information is like it's reminding me, like, oh yeah, by the way, you're a divine creator of your reality. You have infinite potentials. Here's the science about it. Here's the framework to do it. We're gonna go through the process. It's a rite of passage experience that's designed to set you on a new trajectory to a new reality. And by going into this kind of like incubator or this laboratory of the mind, we're able to start to fire and wire new neural synaptic connections in our body and brain, and start to fine tune our body like an instrument to an emerging future potential, right? So there's infinite potentials. We're going to tune into them, and we're going to align with that. And we're also going to be tapping into the minds of all these other amazing people who are also doing the work, and get feedback from them, get new ideas from them. And so then we start to cross pollinate, right? Because we have all these brilliant people in the room who are going to share things. And it's amazing. Like, when people connect in the Mind Lab, like, people have these amazing synchronicities, even with people in the room who they'd never met before. And
Yeah.
it's like opportunities, potential collaboration, new business partners, new love. People have fallen in love at the event. Like, I mean, it's incredible. And so, yeah, I'm really, really blessed and grateful to come and share it with you and with your crew and everyone in St. Pete. And yeah, we're counting down the days until 11:10 and 11:11. And just so you know, on the 10th, we're going to be doing the Mind Lab, and on the 11th, we're doing Sacred Strategy. And both are powerful frameworks and processes. They build on top of each other, and it's a beautiful experience that I'm excited to share with you all.
Oh, we're really excited, and I'm so excited that people have already expressed interest to me about it. Because whenever they do, and they're people that I know, so I'm like really excited. Oh, get to spend the weekend with that person and learning this new stuff. And so I think, and then just meeting other people who are also drawn to it, because I do believe everything happens for a reason, and so we're all drawn to this experience together. I mean, that's how I met you, basically, was, you know, well, that's how everything happens, but, through Crystal and everything. And it just feels, like you're saying, it's being in the flow, and then addressing it. And I appreciate the experience. And I'm so grateful that you're going to be here in St. Petersburg, Florida, because I really do love it here. I think it is a magical place. It's a lot of good energy here, and from other people who come here. Oh, we're getting some hearts. Yes. So I think, yeah, I think you're going to really like it, and experiencing it. So we're ready for you, and hopefully you're ready for us. It seems like you are.
Yeah, I'm ready. I'm ready.
And we have an event posted, and then they're just supposed to contact you, correct? If
Yeah,
you're interested in
yeah. So
coming.
if you're interested, the link to get a ticket is in the event invite on Facebook. So you can it's on Eventbrite, so you can get through Eventbrite. You can also hit me up on Venmo or PayPal directly if you want to do that. Either way,
Yep.
whatever works best for you. And if you have any questions, let me know. I also do strategy and coaching with people, and have really a profound framework for that as well. So if you're interested in like meeting up while I'm in Florida, I'm available for that as
Yeah.
well. And yeah, I would love to just be on your team, and super excited to um, go on this journey with you all. And keep in mind, we're going to be in a gorgeous house, like a beautiful house on the water. It's going to be such a nurturing environment. We're going to have a delicious potluck, high vibe, healthy potluck. So we're just going to have lots of food, and it's just going to be a very like deeply profound and juicy, healthy, revitalizing experience. It's kind of like getting a 2-hour massage, but for your mind and your body and your vision.
That's great. That's great. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, I think we'll probably connect again one more time, probably before the actual event. But
Cool. Let's do it.
Thank you so much for your time today
Yeah,
and
definitely.
for joining us. And anybody who's tuned in or is watching this later on, if you want to also leave comments, Jonathan can address or I can address. But we're really looking forward to having him here in St. Pete. And the, I have to say the retreat is very reasonably priced. So he makes it affordable so people can come. And you do have like a deadline coming up for if you want a cheaper rate or something like that,
Yeah,
right?
I think the early bird is happening now until
Is it November 4th or is that a different deadline I'm
I,
thinking of?
I don't recall, but the information is
It's
there.
posted
So
in the event.
yeah,
So either way, it's going to be worth it either way. So make
yeah,
sure
and
that,
it's great too because you get a workbook and it has all the frameworks and it's really deeply based on strategy, life design. So like we're gonna be tuning in and learning about the science of manifestation, the science of sacred, the science of spirituality, and kind of the mechanics of it. But then we're also going to go deep into the strategy of tuning into that future potential and actually strategizing it and embarking on that journey to get absolutely crystal clear on what it is that you're called to create in this life. So yeah, super excited to meet you all on 11:10 and 11:11, and please spread the word if you know anyone that would be a good accountability buddy. I always encourage people to have a partner in crime, a partner in vision, because like it's nice to have someone that you can like really team up and
yeah,
up.
and
Um,
gone through the experience with you. Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
sure. Awesome. Yay. I'm so excited.
cool. Well, thank you so much for sharing this space with me, and thank you everyone who joined
Yes,
today. And yeah, until next time, stay aligned and stay in the flow.
absolutely. Namaste.
Namaste all day.
See you soon. Bye.
Peace.